Hi everyone, and welcome to all of you who chose message number 1. So this is a brief message to take a look at the week ahead, to identify a potential energetic block, and to receive advice from Spirit as to how to help clear and navigate around it. And it's my belief that awareness is 50% of the battle. So even if you feel that it's difficult to navigate around, at least being aware of it is going to help you stay more connected to the decisions that you make this week. And that's what these messages are about. It's a message of empowerment through awareness. So pile number 1, for all of you that selected this, we are going to go ahead and pull all the cards face up, and then we will discuss what is coming through. And I'm actually going to just make sure that we can see all of these cards here. I don't want any of them to get lost in the shuffle, so to speak. All right, and it looks like we can see all of them. Perfect. Okay, so your energetic block this week, is the Angel of Strength. And this card, for all of you guys that can see it, it reminds me a lot of the Strength card in the tarot, which is a card that's associated with Leo and the attributes of that astrological sign, which are ruling from a heart space, understanding that being able to, that strength comes not from exerting your will externally, but coming from this place of gentle grace, of understanding your own unique personal strength, but being able to turn that inward to make decisions and to control your own behavior and reactions to your external environment. And what I'm just getting here as I'm looking across the cards is that I feel like there's something that is requiring a lot of strength, that there is something that specifically perhaps you are feeling that you're being pushed into trying to control through a external force of will. And I think where I'm seeing this here with your advice from Spirit is that the first card that comes up, it says no. Wait, postpone, pause, say no. And I really think this is telling you here that this is that week where you may feel called to kind of be like the lion that's shown here. When you think of a lion, there are times when the lion is, quiet. Or if you think of it, bringing it down to a household animal that we're more familiar with, a cat. A cat can be cuddly and it can be loving and it can purr and want to be around people. And then there are times when that cat is all of a sudden going to lash out and swat at you, or try to snipe at you. And I'm getting that feeling that there's this element of that energy that you're sitting with that is preventing you from feeling in flow. That there's a point of frustration, whether it's regarding your career life, your home life, or another aspect that you're dealing with, and that you're feeling this call to act in an outward way. And what this first card of advice is saying is no, take it back. Learn from the Strength card in the tarot that real strength comes from being able to control yourself, control your reactions, and then control your external action. And how it says wait, postpone, pause, say no. I think this is the week of reflection for you. This is the week of stop. And when you feel like you want to be the cat and kind of be like, Rawr! This is where Spirit's asking you to step back into your seat of true personal power, into this place of where courage comes from. So when I use the triad of engagement in my private readings and personal coaching sessions, we talk a lot about coming back and utilizing courage to really tap into and unlock your ability to take action based on your own authentic needs. And that's really what I'm seeing here, is that you're stepping into the seat of courage and understanding that it's not always this push, this external push. Sometimes it's about the internal strength to say no, to wait, to rethink the words that you want to speak towards somebody. And coming in here to another card of advice from Spirit is nature. And it says, this is a time to absorb the healing properties that nature has to offer. Your mind, body, and soul need nourishment, energy, revitalization, and strength. Nature has much to offer, so take this time to connect and spend some quality time outdoors. And again, I think this really reflects this element of clearing your head, and perhaps you are feeling this frustration. You're feeling this like rare energy. And really what you're being called to do is to sit with yourself, to remove yourself from anything that may be a trigger. And when I talk about a trigger response, this is anything that's that you're sitting right now. And so when I talk about awareness, this is this point where you should be really taking a look and going over all these little aspects of maybe what happened over the weekend, what happened last week. And as you move into this week with fresh energy, what seems to kind of be sitting heavy with you? Where is that point, that sticking point where you're feeling like if somebody just pushed you a little bit too much, it would trigger this response that you feel might come out without your control? That might trigger you to kind of lash out a little bit, whether verbally or physically, or just to make a rash decision. And you're being asked to then, after you identify that area, to really be aware that if there are moments throughout this week that you start, that comes up, that feeling is triggered, that's your time to step away. That's your time to, if you have to remove yourself for a moment from that meeting, or wait to make a response to something that came up in that meeting until after the meeting is done, you've had time to process, take a walk around the building or a walk around your neighborhood if you're still working from home, and then come back and communicate the response that you'd like to share. This can also be in a family. It doesn't have to be obviously career or work oriented. This could be in the family where maybe there has been something that's been building up or something that happened over the weekend, and you feel like you might snap at your significant other, or you might snap at your children, or a friend that you've been in communication with. Same thing here, is that when you start to feel that you're being triggered, this is the time to disengage from that interaction and to basically take a deep breath, and by going out into a different, basically removing yourself from one situation and bringing yourself into another situation where you actually have the ability to be alone, to tap back into kind of more of that internal strength and reassess what action that you take in the external will really benefit in helping you express yourself authentically and meet your needs in that moment. Because then the outcome here is the Ace of Cups. And the Ace of Cups is beautiful. So if you can navigate this block, if you can navigate this element of staying strong on an internal level, and realizing again that real strength comes from being able to come from this quiet place of graceful knowledge instead of externally trying to control and exert your will, that this is the energy you're meant to tap into. This is that direct connection to spirit. And the Ace of Cups is that gift of love from the divine. This is the ever overflowing cup. And it directly ties to your emotional connection to your life. So at any point when you feel this element of frustration come up, Spirit is asking you to remember that you have this gift of love, and that you can bring this into every situation, that you can come back to a difficult situation or a triggering situation and be able to see it from the eyes of love. Of perhaps in the moment you were triggered and you realize how much you're triggered, and before you snap at somebody, you get a chance to take a step back and remember what you love about that person, or remember what you love about the situation. It can come down to the fact that all of a sudden you want to leave a job and you just feel that moment, or you're out with friends and you get this feeling of like, I just don't want to, I'm going to just say this snarky comment, and remember the love behind the connection. Remember the love behind your situation as well. And come back to this place of peace. Come back to this place of what fills your cup. Where can you emotionally connect with the situation that you're working with so that you can better understand in that moment what needs to be filled of yours uniquely to allow you to feel that emotional connection of fulfillment in that moment, either with the interpersonal connection or with your environment. And your additional cards of clarity here are, we have the moon and we have the 9 of swords. And the moon is a lack of clarity combined with the 9 of swords, which are the illusion, the negative thoughts that we have. This is always the card for me of the thoughts that keep us up at night. The illusion of the monster under the bed. And both of these cards are one of illusion, which is interesting. And really what I'm seeing here is that if you can really, why you're being asked to this week, hold your tongue, so to speak. Hold your tongue, sit back, take the time to be with yourself, to be aware of how you can still fulfill your needs and express what you'd like to express, but how you can come from a place of quiet internal strength instead of this external, loud, uncontrollable external push, exerting of your will, that you're going to receive clarity in some place right now that you are currently stressing over, and that there's a lack of clarity. And I get this feeling that right now, kind of what is causing this moment of frustration or triggering or anxiety around something this week for you is coming from the fact that you may be seeing it in the wrong light. Or there may be some illusion or negative thinking around something. And if you take that moment to pause and take that moment to reconnect with yourself, and you take that moment to reconnect with the love behind the situation or behind the person that you're dealing with, this will end up clearing up. The illusion the moon will turn into the sun, meaning that you'll go from kind of this dark, shadowy, I can't quite see it, to the sunlight, which will be illumination, which will be this illumination here. And the negative thought patterns, the worrying that you're doing right now over this block, will be shown for what it is, which is probably just that illusion. It's that you're worrying for no reason. You're kind of in this heightened state of awareness and being triggered, probably because you're not seeing something correctly. And this week is kind of an interesting week because we're coming out of last week's new moon, solar eclipse, and it's the end of this eclipse cycle that we had that started last month in May with the full moon lunar eclipse. And eclipses are a time of revelation, but they're also a time of a lack of clarity. So we're still sitting with that energy. We're still sitting with that new moon darkness coupled by the solar eclipse that also hid something from us. And we all have something that's been revealed and something that's kind of in shadow at the same time. And I think this week the energy is kind of lingering for you, and that something has come up. It's frustrating, it's triggering, but what Spirit's reminding you is that it's okay. Come back to this place of love. Take the moment to take deep breaths, to remove yourself from situations that trigger this frustrated feeling. Come back to your seat of power, which is being aware of your needs and how to meet them in a way that is through graceful communication, authentic communication, not in a way that comes out in, again, kind of like this like rare way where I haven't thought about what I'm trying to actually express. And if you can do that, then whatever you're not seeing, whatever's a little unclear, and the illusion of this worry that you're bringing to this problem will clear. And by the end of this week, it's going to be this dissipation of energy, and you're going to see something for what it was, and you're going to be very thankful that you didn't yell at your boss, or you didn't make that nasty comment to your significant other, or you didn't make that rash decision to stop a project and tell off your work partner, or whatever it is. And that by the end of this week, you'll see clarity and you'll be reminded, oh yeah, that's right. The universe loves me and this was all okay. This is going to be, I think this week's going to start out a little tense, and it's going to come full circle by the end of the week into some really neat clarity and realization for you. All right, pile number 1, I look forward to seeing you all next week for next week's quick take out, basically, woo, Mercury retrograde is still getting me here. All right. I will see you next week for your next energetic block clearing reading. All right, bye guys. Hi everyone, and welcome to all of you that decided to choose pile number 2. This message is a quick look at an energetic block that you could be experiencing this week that is preventing you from feeling in flow, and if you are aware of it and take the advice that comes through from Spirit, that you can reconnect on a more heightened emotional level with the energies of the week, to feel in flow, to feel like you are able to tap into those feelings of happiness and contentment. And I like to believe that awareness is 50% of the battle. So sometimes in just knowing the block, even if the advice right now doesn't seem feasible or doesn't seem to make sense, sometimes the message itself is just being aware of a specific area that could be a potential issue. And in being aware of that, you can help integrate how your internal reactions to your external environment, where they're coming from. All right, pile number 2, let's get right into your cards. I'm going to turn them all face over, and hopefully we can fit them all in this shot here. Okay, so for everybody who chose pile number 2, got them all on the screen. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to start with your block down here, and we're going to move into advice and then clarity. So for everybody, oops, sorry, as I kick the sand. For everybody who chose pile number 2, the block that is coming through for me this week for you guys to be aware of is based around your second chakra. And the second chakra is your sacral chakra, and this is the seat of your creative abilities, your creative self. When you think of where the sacral chakra lies, it is the second chakra. So we start with the root chakra at the base of our spine, and we move up to the sacral chakra, which is kind of in that area that a woman would have her uterus. And it's really the seat of creation and creativity. And when we have a block in this area, what happens is that we end up not being able to express our full selves, meaning we are holding some part of ourself back that eventually will end up leading to, from my own personal experience, but from what I've also seen with others, is that when you have a block in your sacral chakra, you are blocking yourself off from tapping into your own personal power. Because the sacral chakra really is the seat of what you're uniquely able to birth and manifest in your physical reality. And when you're holding yourself back on this level and you're experiencing a block, what happens is that frustration and anxiety creep in. Frustration that you're not able to manifest in the way that you would like, and anxiety over, if you choose to do so, how will it be received? Or that it might be criticized or judged. And what you're being asked this week is to identify where in your current life, now it could be something that came up over the past week, it could be something that came up over this weekend. We are coming out of an eclipse energy season, which can bring up to light aspects of ourselves that we had kept hidden, aspects of ourselves that now we need to start to engage with again. And so this may be why you're feeling some type of emotional block or energetic block around your second chakra. Now, as we move into advice, the first card out is trust your path. It says, if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? And I think that's so perfect with what we were just talking about here, is that oftentimes we feel afraid to express our true creativity or to follow what we know we can, what we know we want to create. When we start to feel this need of, I need to express this part of myself, I need to create from this place in my tangible environment, we experience that block of fear, that block of frustration, of, oh, I can't do it because, and then this is where the negative thought patterns come in. I can't because, fill in the blank. Now there can be 100,000 things. I see this rolling list of fill in the blank of I can't because. I can't because if I won't have enough time. I can't because I don't have enough money. I can't because my family won't support me. Whatever it is. And this is what Spirit's saying, trust your path. There's a reason why we all have a specific need to create, because each one of us is meant to manifest something in our creative or in our physical world, and that's unique to each of us. We have this awesome ability to kind of create our own unique heaven on earth, built and based on us acting, being aware of what our unique abilities are, being aware of what our unique ability to create is, and being aware of how we want to bring that creation into engagement with our external environment. And so right now you're being asked to let go and help clearing this block of the negative what ifs. If you knew you'd be supported, what would you do? So in helping to kind of bring awareness to this block, what has come up recently that you feel the need to express? What has come up recently that you feel the need to create? And that you need to create from? And this can be a simple, this doesn't have to be this grand, all of a sudden you realize I want to create paintings, but I'm a financial analyst, but all I really want to do is paint. It doesn't have to be that big of a shift. This can be something like, I really just want to get back into taking piano lessons again, or I want to take up knitting and I want to create the time to do that. But maybe right now my life is so full of other commitments, I don't even have the ability at the end of the day to sit and knit. Or I want to explore cooking. Or it could be something on a much larger level where it's where you realize, I really want to explore painting for a living. Well, it's time to start taking those steps forward, because this pile, I guess it's pile number 2. You guys have this is a big week for you energetically, because blocks in the sacral chakra are really where we can hurt ourselves by creating this internal environment of stress and frustration and anxiety, because this is where we disconnect ourselves from our ability to feel powerful, to feel like we are empowered to create and manifest in our reality. So this is a big block to take a look at this week, and to really step into faith and courage as you really look at, if all else was taken off the table, what do you want to do? What do you want to currently manifest in your current environment? What is going to emotionally engage you with your external environment? And our second card of advice is dream talk. It says your subconscious constantly and subtly speaks through your dreams. It's just one of the many ways in which your soul and those here in the spirit world can reach out and communicate with you through signs, symbols, messages, and more. So there is this element of tapping back into your subconscious, that perhaps to help start the process of releasing the negative thoughts, and also kind of bringing yourself into this place of transmuting your negative what ifs into positive what ifs. That meditation this week, we don't have to just fall asleep to dream. We can, in fact, actually, it's almost more powerful to receive messages and insight if during the day you can find time to meditate, to lay down and take a sort of nap, And for 20 minutes, you just let your mind wander. Now, I've found that when we're starting out with meditation, so if you're new to meditation, it's hard to just kind of sit and let yourself sit with yourself. It's almost like your mind is trying to find something to do, and it will end up just kind of clicking on day-to-day tasks, and this is when you remember that you forgot to buy something at the grocery store. And so to kind of train yourself to meditate in a way that is actually like going to the gym and utilizing 20 minutes of your time in a beneficial way versus 20 minutes of your time trying to figure out how to first get the machine set up for you to even sit down to use it. You can utilize, just like you would in the gym, to ask somebody to preset the machine for you so that you can spend the full 20 minutes utilizing it. Here you can preset yourself with a goal to think about, so that when you meditate on what you are feeling frustrated with that you can't work with on a creative level, or what you would like to create more of in your life, and what that would look like at its grandest potential. So let's say it is something extreme as I want to leave my financial analyst job to take up painting. Well, what does that look like? What would be the ultimate fulfillment of that dream? Is it just you being able to have the free time to paint in a beautiful studio of your own? Is it that you get to host gallery openings? Is it that you get to engage on a social media platform with people who get to see your work all over the world? It's about diving into the fantasy and allowing your mind to open up to the possibilities instead of the negative, closed off what ifs. And as you do that, that's where spirit is going to be able to come in and illuminate. So as you're starting to think about the positive what ifs, the what ifs of where this part of myself could actually take me, how it could change my current perception of reality in the external world, this is where you're going to get these like momentary like flashes of insight, where you'll see something that you didn't even realize you had wanted or could, or an area where you could even take this further. And that's what you're kind of being asked to do here, is to identify this area of blockage in your creativity center, and to step into this trusting place with spirit to help them illuminate your path, to help them illuminate why you're being called now to focus on this part of yourself, and why it's so necessary to be called up and to be asked of you to bring this out and live it into your external environment. Because then the outcome here is the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is an awesome card. It's a card of Sagittarius. And it's a card of, you can see it's a knight on a horse holding a wand. And that wand is the wand of our own unique eternal flame. It's the flame of passion. It's the flame of creativity. This is actually the gift from the divine of creativity. And what you're kind of being asked to do here is to go out and work with your creativity. So the Knight of Wands is the energy that's associated with the Knight of Wands is one of pleasure seeking. It's one of going out and working with your passions in a very external way, and just following in fast movement what feels good in that moment. Now, sometimes this can be a negative in that there's the shadow energy of never kind of being tied down and creating a stable foundation from your passions, that you're almost too pleasure seeking. But in its highest sense, which is what's being brought through here, it is all about tapping into the joy of life that comes from working with your passions, from sharing your eternal flame, from sharing this gift of creation that you've been uniquely given, and it's meant to be shared with others. Now, as we come into your two additional clarifying cards, we have the Hierophant and we have the Four of Cups. And the Hierophant can be, it ties into the spiritual realm of our existence. It ties into also what I like to look at as the status quo, the accepted practices of the time within your culture, within your current environment. And this can be things like organized religion, political structure, even down to your education system, or what you see within your society currently that you are interacting with is the accepted norm. And that is difficult to navigate around when perhaps your creativity goes a little outside of that. Now, coupled with the Four of Cups is a card of emotional evaluation. It's a pause to evaluate what you have of emotional worth for you right now. So the card itself shows an individual looking at 3 cups, and he's kind of looking at them like, I don't know if I really feel it. don't really feel it from any of these. And he kind of looks like he's, disappointed or disgruntled or just kind of eh. And here there's this magic hand. It's like the gift from the divine and this extra cup, but that extra cup is just out of his sight. He's more focused on what he's not emotionally connecting to, and he's unable to see this gift, this spark of emotional connection behind him, which he could easily just turn around and be like, oh, well, that looks different. I think I might, I don't like really what I'm working with right now, so I think I'm going to take that and see where it goes. But I'm seeing these two together as He's blocked from seeing this because he's so focused on what should be, on the status quo, on what's acceptable. So if you are that financial analyst who wants to become the painter, well, it's very accepted in our society that you should go to college, graduate, get a high-paying job, start a family, buy the house, take all of these steps. It's not necessarily as accepted that you just leave a well-paying job to follow a creative passion and just go from there. But yet in reality, that well-paying job and all the fixings that come with it are not emotionally fulfilling to you right now. So this is asking you that in order for you to overcome this block around your creative center, that you're being asked to bring forward because it's going to realign you with your path. It's going to help clear that block so that you can continue on your path. That what's lovely about the Knight of Wands, and I'm kind of seeing it here in kind of telling this lovely little story, it's like I'm just imagining this kind of priest figure or king or hierarchical figure sitting here and holding some type of meeting with people in front of him, listening intently, and you burst through the doors on your steed and you rear your horse back and you hold up your wand of passion and you clear out that meeting, you clear out you're able to assert yourself and say, no, I don't need to be here. Everybody, this is my passion and I'm going to go out and follow it and work with it. You can stay here all you want and listen to the same old. That's fine. If that's what you want to do and you want to be told what to do, that's great on you. You do that. But I'm going to show you what real freedom looks like. And that's really what I'm feeling from here. It's like this little vignette just popped into my head. So this week, it's all about taking a look at where you're blocked creatively, where you are feeling called now to express yourself and what you'd like to see you yourself create more of in your external environment. And then trust that. And then take the time to have directed meditation where you do sit and specifically think about this area and you tap into the what if component. The what if I did get to do this? What would it look like? How would it feel? And you're trying to tap into that emotional connection. Because once you tap into that emotional connection of feeling that moment of joy and just the sheer imagining of what it would feel like to live that reality, that's the moment that the divine touches your physical reality. That's the moment where manifestation starts. That's the wand. That's the Sistine Chapel image of Michael touching the hand of God. And so that's what you're trying to get back to here, is you're trying to get back to that feeling of divine inspiration and to not be afraid if it goes outside of the status quo or what's accepted. Because for you right now, what's acceptable in your emotional connection to what you have in your current environment is not acceptable either. And the universe wants you to reconnect on an emotional level with yourself through your creativity. All right, pile number 2. I hope you have a fantastic week. This is going to be a super illuminating one for you. This is, for me personally, where my path started. It was my reconnection. It was my frustration and disconnection on a creative level and blocks in my sacral chakra that really, a few years ago, prevented me from feeling in flow. And it's really the blocks there that finally got to this heightened place that pushed me into a place of awareness that helped me to start on my path to change. So this could be that kind of crux week for you guys, and I hope it is. And I hope you get to go out and start to have fun with your passion. All right, guys, I will see you next week for the next energetic block clearing. Hello, all of my viewers who chose pile number 3. So this message is a weekly message to help identify an area of energetic blockage, which, if you can take the advice that Spirit is offering, you can help to clear so that you can stay in flow, stay emotionally connected, and really tap into the emotional fulfillment that all of us are meant to experience in our life. So I'm going to jump right in by basically turning all these cards over face up so we can see what's in them. And let me just make sure here that we can see all of these. All right, guys. Woo, this is a fun spread. Okay, this is very interesting. So we're going to start here. This is your block. And it says adjacent possibilities. I love this card. I love the depiction of all the different doors and the door and the floor and the windows. It's a reminder to us that there's always another way. It's also, I look at when this card comes up for me personally, the energy around it is a reminder that we cannot control our external circumstances. It's a reminder that our external circumstances, there is this component of destiny that's always at play. But yet, it's in play with our internal environment, which is our seat of personal control. And so, if we think about our lives and that each one of our lives has a specific path and that we really can't veer off that path, that yes, even if we take all of these different other options, we're still heading towards the same end goal for ourselves. Everything here is a path meant for us, one path meant for us to be experienced. We can just have varying ways of getting there. And this is a reminder of that. That it's also a reminder of a release of expectation and a release of, well, expecting a desired result. Because there's always more than one way to skin a cat. But specifically, there's always more than one way for what action you're taking now to have an end result, or more than one way to achieve that result. And so what's coming through for me here really is it's funny, I was just trying to see if there's like an extra message coming through, and I kind of hear this, it's almost like two people talking, which is interesting, and one person being like, I'm just gonna jump, and the other person's like, what? No, don't, wait for me. So there's something here about possibly you have been trying to achieve something, and you're getting to this point where you have tried to achieve something and you were expecting a result. And you've been frustrated because that result has not come to be. And perhaps you were working with other people. So whoever that specific message came through for, you might have been working with other people who perhaps are a little bit more fluid in being able to be flexible and seeing another opportunity to jump through there. And you're not willing to because you're holding yourself back for this expected outcome. And so that's your energetic block this week that you're going to be dealing with, is where in your life have you been working towards something, taking action towards something, and you were expecting a result, a specific result. And you are feeling blocked and frustrated because that specific result has not occurred. And so it's preventing you from taking continued action on the same goal. Because either you're waiting or you're just kind of, hitting your head against the same closed door when there are other ones open all around you. Because as we move into then the cards of advice, we have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. And whether or not you believe in Jesus, or even that there was a woman named Anna who was the grandmother of Jesus, that is not what this card focuses on. What the card focuses on is the concept that we don't know the true full outcome of every action that we choose to take. So when you think of the concept of the grandmother of Jesus, she did not know that when she gave birth to Mary, who was the mother of Jesus, that her daughter would eventually then give immaculate birth to a child that would end up being seen as a religious icon and as a savior for some. All she knew was that in the moment, she wanted to have a family, and she wanted to give birth to a child, and she wanted to do the best that she could in supporting that child. And so she did. And so this is where we don't know where ultimately the actions we take are going to lead. So her, ultimate, maybe she wanted Mary to do something else with her life. And maybe she felt frustrated that her daughter ends up kind of coming up pregnant out of wedlock. And she feels like she's failed and she can't see any other way around. This was maybe her only child. And she's spent all this time trying to create this legacy for herself through her children. And she thought Mary was going to marry a different person and have a completely different life. And instead, the divine had their own plan. And it doesn't mean that the divine's plan is any better or worse than your plan. It's just that we're always working with destiny. There's always going to be something outside of our control that we're not quite aware of. That's the mystery. That's what makes life fun and beautiful and amazing, that you can look back and you can see how everything was connected, how every decision made and every external part of your environment interacted with created this beautiful story that is unique to you. And that's really what this is focusing on as your advice is you need to have faith in the divine plan. And so if there is another opportunity, another door that opens that might not seem to take you in the direction of your expected or intended result, it's still within your control to take that leap, to be able to open yourself up to other opportunities, because perhaps there is something here that you're not seeing. And there's a reason why up until now you have not actually achieved that desired result. The next card of advice is serenity. And it says the most important relationship you can have is with yourself. This is a time to honor, nurture, and love yourself more by seeking out and removing any negative feelings and emotions that are left over from yesterday. Don't let past issues and resentments interfere with your serenity today. And really what this comes into, as a piece of advice is to realize sometimes we try so hard to make something happen, and when it doesn't come out the way that we want or we don't see a result, we get frustrated. And obviously that taps into blocking us from this feeling of feeling in flow, feeling at peace, feeling this element of serenity. And we become resentful. We become resentful towards others that we place external blame for something not happening correctly. Maybe you've been trying to do something in your home life or maybe in your business. Maybe you have a side project. And because it's not coming to fruition the way that you want, well, then you're going to take out that frustration on your family. Well, you guys are the ones holding me back. I still don't have enough time. If I could just focus more time, then my business would grow. And in reality, instead of stepping back and saying, well, is it really your family's fault that you're being prevented from making this business work? Or is it that there's another opportunity here that you're missing? There's another way that you can approach this side hustle, so to speak, to make it start to work? Or are you missing that the main reason why this isn't working is because it's pushing in another direction to take the talents that you've utilized here, but push them over here because this is actually where it's needed. This is actually where you're going to experience more abundance, more flow, more ease. Here is where you're going to be kind of beating your head against the wall. And so it's about letting go of the fact that perhaps you have put a lot of time and energy. It says, don't let past issues and resentments interfere with your serenity today. And so, yeah, maybe you have sat here and spent a lot of time on something. And you've pushed and you've pushed and you've pushed and you've sacrificed. Or you just had an expectation. You took a risk and you had an expectation. But you feel now that because you invested and you took this risk, you can't go back. Well, the universe isn't asking you to go back. You taking action was part of the divine plan. But now you have to realize that the other half of this is destiny. You took action from a seat of personal power. But now destiny is coming into play to say, this door is closed. This door is closed. But we have 6 more open to you. And there's a reason why you were meant to take action. And now we're meant to come in and help redirect you. And it's up to you to tap into changing your negative what ifs that prevent us from feeling emotional connection, because we get stuck in our heads and we start to overthink. And we get into this, we replace emotional connection with overthinking, and then we replace positive emotional connection with negative emotional connection, which is every time I try to do something I love, it doesn't work out. And this is where we need to bring it back and realize that this is not what the universe wants for us. That's a self-imposed trap that we can hold ourselves into, where we remove our emotional connection and we get trapped in our heads and we try to over-rationalize something. And then on the other side, we then take what should be a positive emotional connection, where we're connecting in this, basically the energy of love, this give and take, this flow of ease, of, okay, the universe is giving me a little nudge this way, I'm going to go this way. And now it's time for me, the current has slowed down, it's time for me to pick up the pace and start swimming again and take action. And now the current is flowing this way, so I'm going to go with the flow over here. And instead, we end up pulling ourselves away from that and connecting with the negative emotions of frustration, of resentment, of even anger. And this is where we can really hurt ourselves and missing out on the full opportunity and the beauty of life, which is that there's always another way. That's what differentiates a hero from everyone else. And each one of us is a hero. Each one of us has superpowers that we are always continually by spirit being asked to work with and bring out into the external environment because they're needed. And a hero, that's the beauty of going to see a movie where it seems like there's no other option and it seems like there's no way out, or it seems like every plan has failed. And then you see the next scene and the hero has come up with another plan. They saw another avenue of opportunity. And that's the fun part of watching those kinds of movies, is that we're constantly put into a place of awe and wonder. Wow, I would never have thought of that. I would never have seen that. But that's because we live our lives most of the time with these expectations. And if you can start to release those expectations, then you get this chance to really be open to more. You actually get to be open to better turn of events, better outcomes, and at the same time you get to flex your unique superpower abilities, and you get this chance to unlock another level of yourself that is going to connect you more easily with emotional fulfillment. And your path will become clear and you won't feel like you're beating your head against a wall. Because then we have the card of death. And this is actually the outcome from spirit that they're trying to bring you in here. And it seems kind of scary, right? Like death? What? Excuse me. So what are you trying to say here? But the beauty of the death card in the tarot is that it harnesses the energy of two things. It harnesses the energy of we're all equal, that death comes to us all, and that death is a part of life. And so yes, there are some dreams or some goals or some tasks that must die for something new to be reborn. I mean, and that's actually kind of the message of Jesus, which is interesting here. But the other side to death is that there's also this element of transformation. The number in the tarot is a number 13, and the number 13 is a number associated with transformation. And it's really, what I'm seeing here for you is that there's this element of change, basically allowing this intense focus and need of it has to come out this way. This has to be the outcome, to let that die. Because it's going to be transformed into something that is so much more powerful. And then at the same time, it's also going to bring about something a positive outcome that even you can't see, that even you couldn't. This is the beauty of when you open yourself to the divine and to destiny and to the unknown, is that by letting one area, one thing, one idea go, the universe is able to take that energy and reuse it to create the desired outcome. And oftentimes what comes through is something that you could never have imagined, a beneficial outcome that even in your wildest dreams you couldn't have believed would happen. And I've seen this in people I know who were so focused on starting a business based around X. And eventually what happened is that never became a reality. But what they did find was their niche. They found this beautiful little area and focusing on following a passion. And when this extra little side of whatever they were doing over here popped up and started to open up possibilities, they ran with it and developed this, even more thriving business, to the point where these people in my life will sit there and say, I can't believe that I get to do this for a living. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that this would lead to this, this, and this. And it was because they stayed open. And again, a lot of times we just can't see what's around the corner, and that's what makes life, again, beautiful. If we could see what everything was going to be like, well, first of all, we'd never be challenged. We'd never learn about ourselves. And life would become boring. Because then it wouldn't matter what we did, because we knew what was going to happen. And instead, this is how we stay engaged. This is how we stay an active player in our story. It's like one of those stories where you get to choose, I don't know if you guys remember these, where you get to choose like what happens next, where it ends, and it's like, choose option 1, 2, or 3, and then you get to continue the story in a slightly different way. That's kind of what this is taking into account, is that sometimes we have these moments where we can let one thing go and see it from a different perspective. But we get to interact. We get to make that choice. Because then down here, you have the Nine of Cups and the Queen of Wands, two amazing cards. The Nine of Cups is a wish fulfillment cup. This is that true, first of all, it's being emotionally connected. It's being proud of what you have achieved currently and your emotional connection to that. You're emotionally fulfilled by what you currently have. But it's also that wish fulfillment cup for the last cup, which completes the cycle, which is then the Ten of Cups. And so this is showing me somehow that this is by releasing some expectation, coming back into this partnership of faith with the divine, and allowing something to die so that it can be transformed. What's going to come is it's going to actually facilitate your wish fulfillment of stepping into this place of Queen of Wands, which is being able to work with your passions and be able to be confident in your passion and to be able to express from a place of passion, but specifically also manifest from a place of passion. So there's something about this that if you can release and clear the block of, but it has to happen this way, what's going to come in is going to be a wish fulfillment. And it's going to be a wish fulfillment that's going to allow you to step into the seat of power where you have this ability to then create from a place of strength and work with your passion. So this is a powerful week for you, but it's also a fun week to start to tap into the element of what if. What else can I do with this area that I feel I have not achieved the outcome I want? And how can I release that? And start to get excited about how once you release that and you start to work with spirit instead of against, what's going to come through for you that's actually going to end up being a wish fulfillment. All right, pile number 3. I will see you back here next week for your next energetic block clearing message. And I hope you have a fantastic week. Bye.